The second segment of the Nightly News is brought to you by Labrie Credit Union. Labrie Credit Union. We are not a bank. We are better.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs has today confirmed 115 new cases of COVID-19. This from a batch of 364 samples. This brings the total number of cases diagnosed in country to date to 7,536. The Ministry of Health also reports 2 new COVID-19 related deaths. To date, the total number of COVID-19 deaths in country is 71, and the total number of COVID-19 related deaths is 30. COVID-19 related death number 29 is a 25-year-old male from the Vieux Fort district. COVID-19 related death number 30 is a 76-year-old female from the Castries district. Confirmation was also received of the recovery of 59 individuals diagnosed with COVID-19. This brings the total number of active cases to 1,600. 3 of the active cases are currently in critical care at the respiratory hospital. In other news, vaccine hesitancy continues to be a major issue in St. Lucia. On the 23rd of August, the Ministry of Health officially rolled out the Pfizer vaccine for use on the island. The St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association is again making a call for individuals to take responsibility, get vaccinated, and do their part to stop the spread of COVID-19.
As of August 23rd, members of the public now have the option of getting either the AstraZeneca or Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine at any vaccination site in St. Lucia. While AstraZeneca has only been approved for individuals 18 and older, children 12 years and above with parental consent can be administered the Pfizer vaccine. The president of the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Merle Clark, is urging parents of children 12 and older to consider getting them inoculated.
We need to protect our children. Those under 12, we still can't vaccinate them. Studies have not been done, trials have not been done to look at the efficacy or the safety of vaccines in that age group. But above 12, we have a tool to be able to help them, the immune system, fight off COVID-19. So we urge you to do that.
Dr. Clark explained that while there continues to be vaccine hesitancy, members of the public need to understand that the few risks associated with the taking of the vaccine outweigh the risks associated with contracting the virus. She says, however, this is an indication that the education campaign needs to continue.
As physicians, the assumption was that it was a few very loud voices. And again, nobody wants to be called an anti-vaxxer, but let's just say speaking against the vaccine for COVID-19, the vaccines, I should say. But we realize that it is a lot more people. Now, there are people with legitimate questions, so we recognize the consultations have to continue. People just want some more information. Of course, those who've been holding out because there was hesitation about the AstraZeneca vaccine, here is your opportunity to get vaccinated. The vaccines are safe. Trials have been done. They've been tried. Over 1 billion doses of the vaccines have been administered at this point with no significant issues, no major side effects.
Over the weekend, St. Lucia recorded over 200 cases of COVID-19. Dr. Clark, while urging members of the public to play their part, addressed the common complaint that it seems that other ailments seem to have quote-unquote disappeared.
Continue to adhere to the protocols. We're still seeing even this weekend that there were gatherings. Despite the rain, St. Lucians, do your part, because again, with this rain, we're looking at the possibility of other infectious diseases, dengue, leptospirosis. They have not gone away. And you hear a lot of talk that there's no longer the common flu and the common cold. Yes, they are around. And the weekly epidemiological data does show that. But the harsh reality is that what is dominant at this point is COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19, and we cannot ignore that fact.
To date, St. Lucia has recorded over 7,000 cases of COVID-19 and currently has over 1,500 active cases. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Since the development of the vaccines to combat the COVID-19 virus, people have been hesitant, citing the possible side effects of the vaccine and the risk of taking it with underlying conditions present. Pathologist Dr. Stephen King is quelling those concerns and says that in the battle between the vaccine and COVID-19, the vaccine will always prevail.
A major deterrent in taking the vaccine, highlighted by St. Lucians, is the possibility of succumbing to the side effects. Whilst the AstraZeneca vaccine has been linked to blood clots, the Pfizer vaccine has been linked to complications surrounding heart inflammation. Despite reports of such side effects being extremely rare, St. Lucians are still hesitant to take the risk. Pathologist Dr. Stephen King is putting to bed these concerns and misconceptions surrounding the vaccines. He says that you are better off being inoculated and armed rather than being defenseless against COVID-19 with no vaccination.
The AstraZeneca, as we know, there have been rare complications of clotting and bleeding. With the Pfizer, there are rare complications of heart inflammation. Both of these complications are more common with COVID. So when you want to do the risk assessment, I always tell people, you know, yes, like everything, have side effects. Vaccines have side effects, but they are very rare. And when you compare it to COVID, the very same side effects and more you'll get with COVID. So in other words, when you have to make a choice between COVID or vaccination, no choice. The choice is really vaccine. It's a simple choice, because whatever you worried about the vaccine, worry about it with multiplication of times with COVID.
Another deterrent outlined by the populace is that underlying health conditions prevent them from taking the vaccine. Dr. King says while yes, there are certain health conditions in which one should be cautious about taking the vaccines, inoculation will always be the safer option rather than dealing with the virus itself.
If you have underlying conditions, you're far safer taking the vaccine than getting COVID. So most conditions that people have, they're safer taking the vaccine than COVID. In fact, the more underlying conditions you have, the more you should choose to take the vaccine. The faster you should go and get the vaccine. There are some exclusions for the vaccine. If you've had an allergic reaction to any of the components in either of the vaccines, that's an issue. If you've had a previous immune low platelet clot, which, like for instance a heparin-induced clot, or what they call capillary leak syndrome, then AstraZeneca, those are exclusions for AstraZeneca. If you have a history of myocarditis, you should think twice before you go for the Pfizer. But apart from that, everybody else should take the vaccine.
Dr. King does go on to say that ultimately individuals are responsible for their choices, but he says that when options are weighed, vaccination usually emerges on top. Reporting for the Hot 7 Nightly News, I am Kareem Nelson.
An icon in sports commentary and journalism, Joseph Reds Pereira recently celebrated 50 years as a local, regional and international cricket commentator. On Wednesday, the milestone was celebrated and Pereira used the opportunity to share his experiences and impart knowledge to the upcoming generation.
Whether a sports fanatic or a casual listener, legendary sports commentator Joseph Reds Pereira is known by the majority. Pereira's story as a commentator who overcame stammering to become the voice of Windies cricket has touched the hearts of many. Recently, Pereira celebrated 50 years of sports commentary. To commemorate this, on Wednesday, a short celebration was hosted for him at Sandals Grand. In attendance was Minister for Youth and Sports Kenson Casimir and President of the St. Lucian National Cricket Association, Carol Henry. Pereira explained that while he may have had a disability earlier on in life, he overcame it after being given multiple opportunities and encouraged the younger generation to remember that opportunities have to be seized with both hands and appreciated.
You don't do anything by yourself in life. It is opportunities that people afford you, give you, that will help you to go forward. And the great Jamaican footballer, Lindy De La Pena, who played for Charlton and Middlesbrough, he was the sports editor of JBC. And I went up to see the Foreman Fraser fight. And they invited me to be part of the commentary. Well, you know the story. It lasted 2 rounds. But there was a whole story to tell. And I picked up the tape recorder, it was a huge German tape recorder called Grundig, went into the VIP lounge and produce a half an hour talking to Bob Foster, talking to Ernie Tyrrell, talking to a number of journalists there.
Pereira spoke of the ill fortune that he faced, including a stroke right before he was due to be at a game, and asked that people remember that sheer will and determination will get you to where you need to go. Minister for Sports Kenson Casimir lauded the initiative to give Pereira his flowers and accolades while he is still alive.
His capacity and his capability and his expertise, it transcended time. It transcended the era of just radio broadcasts into television broadcasts, into the internet age. And the way he carried himself as a professional is something I, as a Minister of Youth Development and Sports, can speak to the next generation about emulating. I remember sitting in the press box and watching some of the games and ensuring that I go to Mr. Mr. Pereira and find out from his perspective what he thought went wrong when either the Zooks lost or the Stars lost. We have a different name now, the Kings, many names. I remember getting his opinion and formulating my story based on what he said. And so, as a young Minister for Youth Development and Sports, it is amazing that somebody who started a broadcast career in 1971 is still doing his thing. To put it in perspective, my mom was 5 years old in 1971.
Pereira's broadcasting career began in 1961 when he did his initial first-class match at Rose Hill. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is scaling up its humanitarian assistance to Haiti following the 7.2 magnitude earthquake that struck the southern region of the country on the 14th of August, 2021. Over 2,100 people are reported to have been killed and 12,000 injured, with hospitals, schools, churches, bridges, and roads badly damaged. A few days after being impacted by the earthquake, conditions on the ground deteriorated further as Tropical Storm Grace swept across southern Haiti with heavy winds and rainfall, which triggered localized flooding and mudslides. In solidarity with regional brothers and sisters, St. Lucia's National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, appeals to all St. Lucians to donate generously. NEMO will be accepting monetary contributions to aid the relief efforts in Haiti. There is a list of bank accounts to be accessed at First National Bank. The account number is 6002760. Republic Bank account, the number 2002817. Bank of St. Lucia account number 901300136. First Caribbean International Bank account number 106962170. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. There's more after the break.
The second segment of the Nightly News was brought to you by Labrie Credit Union. Labrie Credit Union. We are not a bank. We are better.